To flash or not to flash? That is the question. So this past weekend, I was hired to photograph a 5-day festival called Interfusion Festival. It's a beautiful event filled with workshops and events related to spirituality, meditation practices, healing, dancing, and lots of other great things. The event is so big that there were lots of other photographers also covering it. Now, I originally planned to vlog this event. So I just checked into my beautiful hotel. So I'm gonna be actually shooting an event for the next 4 days. And that's the only clip I recorded of myself the entire weekend. Because man, vlogging is just so difficult when you're also just so busy shooting. It's like I can do one thing or the other, but it's really hard to do both. Anyway, so the big question with events like these, events that have a lot of intimate moments or, meditative moments, is when should you use flash and when should you not use flash? Imagine you're in a dark, dimly lit room and there's hundreds of people in that room and they're all meditating or doing some sort of exercise that brings them into a meditative state. One part of you is like, man, this would look awesome if I could use my flash. But the other part of you is like, yeah, that would be really disruptive. And flashing at someone in some circumstances can really kill their moment or get someone to complain about you as the photographer. So what do you do? Well, first of all, I ask myself, what are these photos being used for? Where are they going to be used? In this instance, the photos that I was taking were primarily going to be used on Facebook. And photos taken with a really high ISO are typically still going to look pretty good on social media or on somebody's phone or when they're scrolling on Instagram and all of that. So for many of these scenarios, I decided to just do my best to try to blend in, not disrupt the moments, and bump that ISO. So here's what I did to try to get the best possible photos in the darkest imaginable rooms. Number 1, I tried to use lenses with the widest possible aperture. That means trying to shoot at something like f1.4, f2.0, in some cases f2.8. But basically, you want to try to let in as much light as possible. Number 2, I tried to use the lowest possible shutter speed without blurring the image. Unless of course I wanted to blur the image. Personally, I have a really still hand, but for some people it might really benefit them to use a monopod or a tripod in cases where the subject isn't moving too much. If the subject is moving, that's a different story, and you will have to try to increase that shutter speed. 3, I tried to look for the brightest area in the room. Some of these rooms had sections, that were closer to the light and that were illuminated to the light a little bit more than others. And even that little bit of light can make a big difference for photography purposes. So just kind of like look around the room and see where is the best light. In my situation, there were not windows most of the time, but in cases where there might be a window, you might want to focus on photographing, the areas that are closer to that window light, rather than the dark corner of the room with nothing behind it except for a wall or something. 4, in some rooms, the colors were constantly changing. Sometimes people were illuminated by a beautiful blue light or a purple light or a green light or whatever. In many cases, I would wait for a specific light to come on and then capture that moment with that color that I wanted. Or I would just capture that same moment multiple times with different colors, and then in post-processing I would kind of like pick the color that I wanted for that photo. Number 5, shoot in RAW. That's what I did when I shoot in RAW in like really low light situations. It gives me greater flexibility when I'm editing those photos and allows me to bring out a little more detail. Now, I'm lucky to be able to shoot with a camera that really gives me that ability to push the ISO and still get high quality, usable images. With the Canon 5D Mark IV, I can definitely shoot at ISO 6000 or higher, and the photos will still look great for social media. This would definitely definitely not have been the case with some of my older cameras. Now for the evening parties, I definitely pulled out my flash and used that freely. People were dancing and having fun, and I was definitely able to capture the type of photos that I usually enjoy capturing. But this festival definitely makes me think a lot about low-light photography and how I'm able to capture those moments without being a disturbance. To flash or not to flash? Sometimes as photographers, we just have to read a crowd and determine that based on the individual circumstance. So let me know in the comments if you've ever been in a similar situation and how you were able to capture those amazing moments without breaking up those moments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel if you are new here, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.